Purpose and passion are often thrown together as if they mean the same thing. They don't. Passion is that spark of emotion, that feeling of excitement and fire that floods us when we stumbled onto something we love. It's vibrant, it's intense, but it's also temporary. Passion can come and go with our mood, our circumstances, or the seasons of our lives. Purpose, on the other hand, is steady. It's the foundation we build our lives upon. The word passion says, I feel like it. Purpose says, I must. Passion is about feelings. Purpose is about commitment. And when you wake up every morning choosing to live with purpose, you no longer depend on how you feel to move forward. The problem with relying on passion alone is that it is unreliable. Passion is like the weather. It changes without warning. One day you feel unstoppable. The next, you wonder why you even started. If you only move when you're passionate, you will move inconsistently. You will start a dozen things, but finish none. You will leap from idea to idea, chasing excitement, but never building anything that lasts. Purpose, however, does not ask you if you're in the mood. Purpose requires you to act even when you're tired, even when you're frustrated, even when every part of you wants to quit. Purpose is what transforms effort into endurance and endurance into achievement. When you are driven by purpose, your actions are rooted in meaning. You are not simply working hard for the sake of working. You are not chasing trophies or applause. You are connected to something bigger, a vision, a cause, a contribution that outlives your momentary emotions. Purpose gives you context. It tells you why your daily grind matters. Without purpose, work becomes exhausting. It feels meaningless. But with purpose, even the hardest tasks have value. Even the setbacks feel like steps towards something worthwhile. With purpose, sacrifice stops feeling like suffering and starts feeling like investment. Many people think they need to find their passion before they can start living fully. But passion is often discovered along the way, not at the beginning. It is a byproduct of doing meaningful work with consistent dedication. If you wait to feel passionate before you act, you'll miss the opportunity to create passion through progress. Purpose comes first. It comes from asking, who do I want to serve? What legacy do I want to leave? What problem am I willing to wrestle with for years because I believe it's worth solving? These questions root you deeper than any fleeting feeling ever could. Purpose also has the power to stabilize you when everything else is shaking. Life will challenge you. Life will throw curveballs you didn't see coming. If you're fueled only by passion, those moments will derail you. You'll think, maybe this isn't meant to be, and walk away. But if you are anchored by purpose, you will stand firm. You will understand that difficulty is part of the path, not a sign you're on the wrong one. Purpose teaches resilience because it frames your struggles not as random suffering, but as necessary preparation for the impact you want to make. At the end of the day, passion makes the journey enjoyable, but purpose makes the journey possible. Passion can excite you, but purpose will sustain you. If you must choose between living a life chasing passions or living a life grounded in purpose, choose purpose every time. Passion will cheer you on when the sun is shining, but purpose will walk with you through every storm. When you wake up tomorrow, don't ask yourself, what am I excited about today? Ask yourself, what am I committed to today? Because excitement will rise and fall, but commitment built on purpose will change your life. Motivation is often praised as the magic ingredient for success. People chase it, wait for it, and even blame its absence when they fall short. But the hard truth is that motivation is fleeting. It's a burst of energy, a moment of clarity, a wave of enthusiasm that feels powerful in the moment, but fades just as quickly as it appears. Motivation can get you started, but it can never carry you to the finish line. Those who achieve true greatness, who push through the inevitable resistance of life, do not depend on motivation. They rely on discipline. Discipline is the engine that keeps you moving when motivation has packed up and left. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not exciting. It doesn't feel good most of the time. Discipline is waking up early when you'd rather stay in bed. It's doing the hard work when no one is watching and no one is applauding. Discipline is saying no to distractions, staying focused on the task, and pushing through the tedious and the boring parts that motivation would rather skip. Where motivation whispers, maybe tomorrow, discipline insists, today no matter what. Discipline demands that you show up consistently especially on the days when you feel least inspired to do so. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. When people fail to meet their goals, they often blame a lack of motivation. They say, I just wasn't feeling it, as if feeling it was a requirement for moving forward. But the truth is, no one feels motivated all the time. Even the most successful people in the world battle days when they would rather quit than continue. The difference is they don't wait for motivation to strike. They don't rely on fleeting emotions to determine their actions. They have trained themselves to act out of discipline, a deep internal commitment to the path they have chosen. They have decided that their goals are non-negotiable regardless of how they feel on any given day. Discipline creates momentum, and momentum creates results. Every small disciplined act builds on the one before it, stacking up over time into something massive and unshakable. You may not see the reward immediately. You may not feel any different after one disciplined day or even one disciplined month, but discipline plays the long game. It compounds quietly and powerfully until one day you look back and realize you've become the kind of person others thought was impossible. Discipline is not about huge, heroic efforts. It's about steady, relentless progress. It's the daily grind, the unsexy work, the silent victories that no one else sees. In a world obsessed with hacks, shortcuts, and quick fixes, discipline is the ultimate rebellion. It says that there is no substitute for hard work done consistently over time. It says that true success is not about being in the right mood, but about being committed to the right habits. Discipline refuses to let your emotions dictate your destiny. It teaches you that you are stronger than your moods, more capable than your doubts, and more powerful than your fears. With discipline, you become the master of your fate because you no longer hand over your future to the unreliable forces of motivation. At the end of the day, the people who built the life they dream of aren't the ones who felt like it every day. They are the ones who moved forward anyway. They didn't ask themselves, do I feel like working today? They asked, what needs to be done? And then they did it. Over and over and over. Because they understood a truth most people miss. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire. And if you want to build something that lasts, if you want to reach places most people only dream of, you must stop waiting to be motivated. You must learn to be disciplined. Every single day, no matter what. When we think about the people who have built legacies that outlive them, we often focus on the highlights, the awards, the breakthroughs, the moments of glory. What we rarely see is the endless stretch of days filled with quiet, consistent effort that led to those moments. Legacy is not built in a single act of greatness or one extraordinary performance. Legacy is the byproduct of relentless consistency, of showing up day after day, year after year, doing the work when no one is watching and no one is cheering. True greatness is hidden in the daily disciplines that seem small and insignificant in the moment, but compound into something massive over time. Consistency is not exciting. It is not thrilling or dramatic. It's repetitive. It's often mundane. It demands patience in a world that worships speed. Yet, consistency is the most powerful force behind every story of lasting impact. It is the reason a teacher shapes thousands of lives over a career, the reason an artist's work becomes timeless, the reason a leader's influence echoes long after they're gone. Every speech that inspires, every innovation that transforms, every book that moves the world was not the result of a single burst of energy. It was the result of countless hours of consistent effort, often without immediate reward. The problem most people face is not that they lack talent, opportunity, or passion, it's that they lack consistency. They start strong but fade quickly. They get excited about a goal, pour energy into it for a few days or weeks, and then drift away when the excitement wears off. They underestimate how much progress can be made through small, steady actions over a long period of time. They overestimate what can be achieved in a week and underestimate what can be achieved in a year, a decade, or a lifetime. Consistency demands that you trust the process even when the results are not immediately visible. It demands that you sow seeds with faith that they will eventually grow. Consistency is not about perfection. It's not about doing things flawlessly every single day. It's about committing to the path even when you stumble. It's about getting back up after every setback and continuing to put one foot in front of the other. Some days you will be strong, other days you will struggle. But consistency is measured not by how perfectly you perform, but by how persistently you continue. Legacy is built by those who understand that it is not the intensity of your best days that matters most, it's the strength of your average days. It's the repeated choice to keep going. One of the most beautiful things about consistency is that it slowly transforms who you are. It doesn't just create external results, it changes your internal character. Each act of consistency builds resilience, grit, humility, and integrity. Over time, you become the kind of person who can be trusted, who can endure, who can lead, who can inspire. You don't just leave behind a body of work, you leave behind an example of what is possible for others. Legacy is not only about what you accomplish, it is about who you become and how that inspires those who come after you to believe they can do the same. In the end, your legacy will not be determined by a few spectacular moments. It will be defined by the thousands of small choices you made every day to stay the course. It will be defined by the mornings you rose before the sun, the nights you stayed a little longer, the extra effort you gave when no one expected it. The world may celebrate the grand moments, but you will know that it was consistency, quiet, steady, and often unnoticed, that built something worthy of being remembered. And that, more than any fleeting success, is the true mark of a life well lived. Resilience is often spoken about as an admirable quality, but the truth is, it is far more than that. It is your greatest superpower. In a world where circumstances constantly change, where obstacles are inevitable, and where uncertainty is part of the journey, resilience becomes the one thing that separates those who survive from those who thrive. Talent will open doors, luck will provide opportunities, but only resilience ensures that you endure long enough to see your dreams realized. It is the quiet, often invisible strength that allows you to get back up every time life knocks you down, to press forward when everything inside you is telling you to give up. Life is not a straight path. It is filled with detours, dead ends, and unexpected storms. No matter how carefully you plan, you will face setbacks. You will experience disappointment, rejection, failure, and heartbreak. These are not exceptions. They are the rules of the game. What defines you is not whether you encounter difficulties, but how you respond to them. Resilience is the choice to continue. It is the ability to absorb the blows without losing your sense of direction. It is the ability to see beyond the current pain and trust that something better is still possible if you keep moving forward. The misconception about resilience is that it's something you're born with, that some people are naturally tougher than others. But resilience is not an inherited trait. It is a skill, a muscle that is built through adversity. Every time you face a challenge and choose not to run from it, you are strengthening your resilience. Every time you fail and get back up instead of quitting, you are proving to yourself that you are stronger than your circumstances. Over time, resilience becomes woven into your character. It becomes the inner voice that reminds you, even in the darkest moments, that you are capable of enduring and overcoming. Silience does not mean you are unaffected by hardship. It does not mean you are never afraid, never discouraged, never in pain. It means that despite those feelings, you continue to move forward. It means that when the world tells you no, you find another way. It means that when doors close, you build a new door. Resilience is deeply tied to hope. The belief that your effort still matters, that your story is still being written, that you still have a role to play in the unfolding of your future. It keeps your heart soft when it would be easier to become bitter. It keeps your spirit open when it would be easier to shut down. In many ways, resilience is the foundation for every other strength you develop. Without resilience, courage crumbles under fear. Without resilience, ambition dissolves under pressure. Without resilience, creativity dries up under criticism. But when resilience is strong, it becomes the framework that holds everything else together. It gives you the endurance to pursue excellence when others settle for comfort. It gives you the stubbornness to keep believing in yourself when the results are slow and the road is lonely. It makes you unstoppable, not because you are never hurt, but because you refuse to be defeated. Ultimately, resilience is not just about survival, it is about transformation. Every challenge you endure, every setback you overcome, shapes you into someone more powerful, more compassionate, more wise. Resilience turns pain into wisdom, failure into fuel, and doubt into determination. When you look back on your life, you will not be proud of how easy it was. You will be proud of how strong you became. You will realize that your greatest victories were not the moments when everything went perfectly, but the moments when everything went wrong and you rose anyway. That is the true power of resilience. It makes you the hero of your own story. In a world obsessed with outcomes, it is easy to forget that the real magic lies not in the destination, but in the journey itself. We are taught from an early age to chase achievements, to collect trophies, to measure our worth by the results we produce. But the reality is that most of our lives are spent in the process, not in the moments of victory. If you reserve your joy only for the finish lines, you will spend most of your life waiting. True fulfillment comes when you learn to find joy in the process, in the daily effort, in the small steps, in the simple act of showing up and doing the work that matters to you. The process is where you grow. It is where your character is built, where your resilience is tested, where your skills are sharpened. The process is where you discover who you really are. It teaches you patience, humility, discipline, and grit. You mean, when you rush through the process, desperate for results, you miss the deeper transformation happening within you. You miss the quiet victories. The morning you showed up despite exhaustion. The afternoon you pushed through doubt. The evening you chose courage over comfort. These moments, though invisible to the world, are the building blocks of greatness.